Well, today we have a great visitor with us to talk about so much that's been going on in Northern Kentucky with regard to COVID. This is Catrena Bowman-Thomas. Catrena is the executive director of the Northern Kentucky Community Action Commission, which I refer to as CAC, and was able to serve on that board for a long time. But Catrena, thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I just appreciate having this time with the judge.
Absolutely. So Catrena, you run a very, very kind of complicated organization that was, I guess, got its roots back in with FDR's fight on poverty. But maybe give us an update on what does community action groups do, and what does CAC do in Northern Kentucky?
Yeah, sure. So exactly like you said, community action was really born out of the civil rights movement with the Economic Opportunity Act. And there's actually 1,100 community action agencies nationwide. So we are one of a large network. But here in Northern Kentucky, we're in the 8 most northern counties. And we really work with families from 0 until, senior years, helping them really to try to figure a path out of poverty. What we normally see, people come to us in a crisis situation where they're just struggling, trying to pay their electric or their rent, just trying to meet some of those basic needs. So we work with the families individually to meet those basic needs, but then really to come up with a plan to say, where do you want to go from here? And then we sort of develop strategies to move them so that they can go to school, get a better job, and move their family into thriving. And we just have a myriad of services. So we start with early Head Start and Head Start 0 to 5-year-olds with the goal of really preparing them for kindergarten, because we know how critically important it is that you enter kindergarten on grade level. And then we also have youth programming for Youth Build for those that are working on a high school diploma or GED. But traditional doesn't work for them, that traditional setting. So we do that, and they also work to get a construction trade. So we know how valuable that is right now. We also have our Lincoln Grant Scholar House program, which came online about 3 years ago, and that's where we took the historically Black school and renovated that into 45 apartments for single parents that are going to school. And we've really seen phenomenal success with that model. Those young people that are coming out of there, getting their associates and bachelors and masters. We also have senior programs for those that want to go back to work and want to be retooled. And so we place them in training programs to get them going, and financial empowerment, and on and on and on and on and on. But those are sort of some of the main things that we do with the goal in mind. Again, is really to help families to meet their long-term goal. And just to sort of be that resource that comes alongside of them.
And we have a lot of great organizations in Northern Kentucky, and I know CAC has always been viewed as being one of our best kept secrets as well, that very few people know about it unless you're really getting direct connection with the services. When you say things like Head Start, weatherization, senior training, people start saying, oh, I know somebody who really benefited from that.
Yeah.
So you're there, it's a system, it's set up, it has great success stories, but we've got to deal with COVID. So maybe talk to us about what you've seen in this past number of months, and the need, as well as maybe the impacts of COVID on your services.
Sure, of course, just like with everybody, COVID hit, and we had to just sit down and figure out how to really just completely redesign all of our programs, because our families, of course, were already on the fringes. They were already dealing with issues trying to get out of poverty. So when COVID hit, we really had to just go back to the basics and really work to make sure our families had food, again, to make sure that they had their emergency services, that they were able to keep their rent, and at the same time, really trying to figure out how to keep our staff safe because we were in a health pandemic. So we moved all of our services basically online. We did everything over the phone. We did everything, just like this, through Zoom meetings. And we were able to really stay connected. So over the course of these last couple months, we've given out over 4,600 food baskets. We're really concerned about our Head Start children. We wanted to stay connected with them. So our staff made educational packets, delivered those to the parents along with those food baskets. So we delivered about 3,500 education packets. we've served about 5,000 families with emergency services, with their electric and all of those things. We know that they weren't going to get disconnected, but we didn't want people to be so far behind when that time does come. And we've also worked and served over 2,000 families with rental assistance. And that's really one of the big needs that we're seeing right now. We're really lucky to be a partner with the governor. We are actually administering the Team Kentucky funds. And so Team Kentucky is for every county in Kentucky. And each family that was impacted by COVID can get up to $1,000 to assist with rent, to assist with food or utilities. So we, again, are really glad to be able to do that. So far, I think we've served about 45 families with that fund. So it's been a challenging time, but we've been so fortunate to be able to really continue to serve our families and meet the greater need. One thing that we've seen is, families that never needed any of these services before are saying, what do we need to do? How do we do this? So we're very glad that we've been able to help them and to really try to keep our families stable during this time.
And so as you've started to reopen a little bit, how many different offices in pre-COVID does Northern Kentucky Community Action Commission operate? How many locations?
So we have 8. We have 8 neighborhood centers, one in each of the counties that we serve. And then we have like 15 Head Start locations. So this past Monday, we opened up all of our neighborhood centers. So they're opened again, so people can come in. Right now, we're doing appointment only. Pre-COVID, we took walk-ins and, people could come in. But now we are doing appointment only. We have not reopened our child development centers. We're sort of doing one-on-one services right now, really focused in on those that are going to kindergarten and making sure that their scores are where they need to be, and slowly transitioning back into providing those full child development services in the fall. Just trying to be careful because, it's so much that we have to have in place, and we really want to make sure we have a safe environment for the children and for the families.
Absolutely. Well, and you also deal with the population on the other spectrum of the seniors.
Exactly.
Can you maybe speak to that a bit? What do you see as the need? And, there's a group there who there's maybe wanting to still be retrained and wanting to get back to their next level of life.
Exactly. Yeah. So for our seniors, we just got word from our national funder that they can return. And so we're working with those sites where they were placed to make sure that they're going to go back to a safe environment. And so we are still looking for additional partners, and we look for nonprofit partners that are interested in helping to retool, to place some of our seniors in as a training program for them. But they have to sort of come up with a plan to say how they're going to keep them safe, what they're going to do to provide all the PPP and all of that, not PPP, not the PPP, PPE, right, to provide all that because we want to keep them safe. But we do see a lot of them that are saying they're ready, they're ready to come back. I think at first they were really glad that they were able to be off and we were able to still be able to provide their stipend. So we're really glad about that. But now they're ready to come back and they're ready to get back into the workforce. So we want to get them out there and placed.
Well, Catrena, if there was one thing, you've now been in your role about 2 years, I think almost 2 years. So
yeah,
it's a big role to fill. But if there was one thing you've learned about the services you're providing in Northern Kentucky in the past 2 years that people are just not aware of, mm-hmm. What would you want to share with the region about that?
I think one thing when I came here, it is so many different partners and so many different organizations and governments. And so, it's sort of hard to sort of figure out how does all of this work together. But I think that what I've found is that there is alignment. And so one thing that I want people to know, one thing that I've heard about our social service network is that people see it more fragmented, but really when you look at the social service network, we really have worked since I've been here, I know, together to make our services more streamlined for our families, and we are continuing to work to do that. I think that one thing that I've seen, Northern Kentuckians are very resilient, and they're willing to really do whatever it takes to get ahead and to really push the envelope to get things done. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm just, one thing too, I think coming to Northern Kentucky, I just wasn't sure on how I would be received. And I've been so warmly received, and just really thankful for the opportunity to be here, to be part of this network. And so it has become my home. It really has.
Well, we sure are glad you're here. We're glad you took that the leap and come to Northern Kentucky to lead a great organization and make your mark there. And you're already doing this. So we thank you so much for taking a few minutes a day and continuing to lead your organization through this pandemic. And hopefully lots of successes that we can celebrate down the road.
Definitely. Thank you. And thank you for your support too. You through the county, y'all provide a lot of emergency service funding for us. And so we've seen that has been critically important during this time too, sort of being able to fill some of those gaps that some of our other funding doesn't allow for. So we want you to know you've been a partner with us in helping to deal with this COVID crisis. So just want to make sure to say thank you.
Well, and I think that goes right through me to basically all the workers in Kenton County who put dollars in the funds, who actually then can contribute to an organization like yours, right? So these are the great work you're doing is only happens because you've got people in Kenton County who are contributing. So it's good stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Catrena. Best of wishes, and we'll be back in touch to talk about more things down the road.
Sounds good. Thank you, Judge.